All right. Hi, everybody. We're going to give it a minute to let everyone enter the chat. Welcome, welcome. We're very excited to be here. I'm here with Frank Morlock with AED One Stop Shop, and he's got a great presentation for you. When I first talked to him, my jaw was on the floor with some of the statistics I heard and how important these things are. So, Frank, thank you for being here, and I'm going to pass the mic over to him so we can all see this great presentation.
Thank you, Tess. Appreciate that. Let's see here. All righty, I hope everyone sees that. As Tess said, my name is Frank Morlock. I'm with AED One Stop Shop. I'm like extremely excited to partner with RALNA. I met somebody at a function, and she told me what she did, and she got me in touch with the folks at RALNA, and I was like, man, this just seems like a perfect opportunity. So I'll say, as the message say here, we're extremely excited about this partnership. As this final sentence says here, we're through, we believe through education, which is where the breakdown is. And so we think through education, excellent and affordable life-saving AEDs, through our consultation. And I say we have really great customer service. We're gonna be able to help you guys save lives by getting these AEDs into your environment. Who is AED One Stop Shop? We've been around since 2013. Our goal and our mission is to get AEDs everywhere. We want AEDs wherever there's a need for a fire extinguisher. We feel like there should be an AED in the same spot. And I'll share with you some facts and some statistics that will maybe get you to see it the same way. But we also believe that we're just not an AED vendor or supplier, but we are consultative partners where we want to help you understand why it's important to have AEDs and how you can save lives. So some of our offerings, you guys can read this. We have AEDs, we have consumables. If you need CPR or AED training, we can help with that as well. We have program management software. Big thing that it does is mitigates legal risk. Oftentimes people are worried about AEDs and the legalities of it. And I will say that with the standard of practice, things that are happening now, the legal risk oftentimes is going to fall on you not having an AED as opposed to you being nervous about having one, because so many people are using AEDs. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But we also have first aid cabinets, trauma kits, evac chairs, different things where evac chairs, maybe if you have a 2-story, I don't know if anyone has that, but we have some different life-saving offerings as well. Some of our clients, you guys can see these. We've got some, we're a national supplier of AEDs. So we got Bureau of Land Management, we've got Facebook, we've got Volvo, Starbucks, City of Los Angeles. So as I mentioned, we've been around since 2013. So we're legit, and we're all about saving lives and getting AEDs and life-saving devices into your hands so that you can utilize them and be able to, at a moment's notice, to save someone's life. I will ask, I mean, you don't have to, no one's going to be able to answer, but did you know there's a difference between a heart attack and sudden cardiac arrest? Many people don't know that. They'll say, oh, we had a heart attack and they got an AED and that's what saved them. Where in fact, heart attack and sudden cardiac arrest are two very different things. On this side over here, a heart attack is a plumbing issue. It means that blood is not going through your heart as fast as you like, and you'll often hear people that have heart attacks and they live. They'll get to the hospital, they'll have a stent, they'll have open heart surgery, whatever the case may be. But the likelihood of you living through a heart attack is much better than it is with sudden cardiac arrest, because sudden cardiac arrest is an electrical problem. So what happens in that scenario is your brain is not telling your heart to beat correctly, and it just flutters, or fibrillates is what it's called, and it just won't beat. It'll just shake like this, and it won't beat like a normal heart does. It'll just shake. And because of that, you are losing oxygenated blood to your brain and to your other vital organs in your body. So the reason that AEDs are so important is it's the only known cure to get that heart pumping the correct way. So if you don't have an AED along with CPR, the likelihood of you living without someone putting that on you is 5%. If you can get an AED on somebody, the American Heart Association calls it from drop to shock. If you can get that on them in 3 minutes, the opportunity of that person living goes up to 75, 80% just by having an AED handy. So these facts are scary. I'll share with you the statistics, but the good thing I would say is because we have these portable life-saving devices, you now have the ability to save someone's life without having to wait for an ambulance, EMS, fire or rescue, anything like that. So there's a big difference between heart attack and cardiac arrest. Some of the statistics here, 400,000 people annually die from sudden cardiac arrest. It's the #1 killer in the nation over all other deaths but forms of diseases, accidents, DWIs, drug overdoses, whatever the case is. Sudden cardiac arrest is the #1 killer in the nation. 7,000 children die from sudden cardiac arrest. Means those 7,000 children, they're under the age of 8 and less than 55 pounds. The reason I point that out is it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, how good a shape you're in. It doesn't matter if you're a world-class athlete. It doesn't matter if you sit on the couch and eat potato chips every day. It doesn't matter if you work out every day. It doesn't matter if you walk every day. Sudden cardiac arrest hits everybody and anybody at any time. And that's why it's important to have AEDs handy. 95% of those that have sudden cardiac arrest die because they don't receive defibrillation within 4 to 6 minutes, which is when permanent brain damage starts. In 4 minutes, brain damage starts, and in 6 minutes, permanent brain damage begins. So it's important to get that AED. A lot of times people say, I live close to a hospital, I live minutes from a fire station, whatever it is, but if they're out on another call, if the traffic is bad that day, every single minute in sudden cardiac arrest is important because brain damage and the possibility of death. As it says, 1,000 people die daily from sudden cardiac arrest, which means 1,000 died yesterday, 1,000 died today, and 1,000 will die tomorrow if we don't get these AEDs in the public, which is what AED One Stop Shop is passionate about, is getting these into public facilities. Basically, as I mentioned, anywhere that there's a fire extinguisher, we feel there should be an AED as well. And this is just from a different citing place here, 90% probability of living if you can get the AED on somebody within minutes after sudden cardiac arrest. And there's a slide I'll share with you later that says that rate decreases by about 10% each minute that you don't get a shock on that victim. So the American Heart Association recommends 3 minutes from drop to shock. So what that means is from when the victim hits the ground, 1 minute to get that AED in a brisk walk, 1 minute to get back to the victim, and then 1 minute to get a shock on that person. And that's what the American Heart Association recommends, is 3 minutes from drop to shock, which means you have to have an AED pretty close to where the victim is. Automated external defibrillators are a necessity, and it says whether it happens to child, adult, healthy, young, elderly. As I said earlier, the only known cure for sudden cardiac arrest is an AED. CPR does not take somebody out of sudden cardiac arrest. CPR pumps oxygenated blood from your heart to your brain and then to the other vital organs, but it will not stop that heart from fluttering or fibrillating. You need an AED for that to happen. So as the slide says, it's important that you have an AED handy. So what is an automatic external defibrillator? They're small portable devices that analyze your heart's rhythm or the victim's rhythm, and it prompts the untrained user, so the layperson. It doesn't matter if you've never seen an AED, if you've ever had CPR, an AED will walk you through exactly how the AED works, where to put the pads, and you will you can save, anybody can save a person's life if an AED is handy, because it will teach you, it'll walk you through how to do CPR, and it'll deliver the shock that's needed to get that person out of out of sudden cardiac arrest. As the next one says, it'll prompt you through the defibrillation process by providing voice and or visual prompts. And the AEDs that we've worked with, RALNA, they both have those the voice and visual prompts. They both do. Something people are oftentimes worried about, the device is fail-safe, and it will not just deliver a shock randomly. It's impossible for a shock to be delivered to a victim by accident, or by someone messing around, or by someone accidentally touching a button. It is absolutely fail-safe, and you cannot, a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, I should say, is the only way you can hurt someone with an AED is if, when they're in sudden cardiac arrest, you hit them with the AED. So it's a very, very safe unit or device. And as I said, it will walk you through everything, and you cannot hurt that person. The person is dead unless you start doing CPR and you get that shock on them. So when someone suffers the sudden cardiac arrest, CPR and an AED are the only ways to reestablish the heart's normal rhythm, which I was saying, the beating of the heart. So it's shaking, and then the shock is what gets the heart beating and the blood flowing again. This is just a statistic that shows when AEDs are not present outside of a hospital, there's a 5% chance of you living, where studies have shown in a casino where AEDs are prevalent, 74% chance of living on an airplane or an airport where they're also there. Most places require them to be there, and then also in the workplace. So it shows that if an AED is present, the likelihood of that person living, and that could be a coworker, it could be a loved one, it could be a friend that you've had, in your life forever. If you don't have that AED present and you're outside of a hospital setting, there's a 5% chance of that person living, because people panic. They don't have anyone, they don't have an AED coaching them through it, and they call 911 and hope and pray that the ambulance or the fire truck gets there in time. So this is just a statistic that AEDs actually save lives, and the studies have shown it. I mentioned this earlier. This is the minutes to defibrillation. So the chance of survival from sudden cardiac arrest, you can see if you can get an AED on somebody within 1 minute, there's a 90% chance of that living, 2 minutes, so on and so forth. So for every minute a victim doesn't get an AED on their chest, the likelihood of them living past 10 minutes is very, very slim. And keep in mind, at minute 6, there's permanent brain damage being done. So it's a scary statistic that it's minutes. It's literally minutes. But again, the good news is that through this process that these portable life-saving AEDs, we are not at the mercy of ambulance, fire, EMS, EMT. Many law enforcement vehicles are now putting AEDs in their vehicles, because oftentimes they are the very first on scene. So, but if you have these in your facilities, if you have these in your assisted living facilities, you are not at the mercy of waiting for them. And through training and through the understanding that these AEDs will not hurt anybody, that they're going to save a life, it really puts us, on the forefront of being able to save these folks' lives without having to wait for emergency medical treatment. The AEDs that we have, that we've partnered with RALNA, which like I said, it just seemed like such a great fit, having met with them and discussed the opportunities and the great things that you guys are doing out there in the industry to take care of folks. These AEDs just seem like they would go hand in hand with the environment that you guys are in. So we have the Heart Sign Samaritan AEDs, which are very small. They weigh 2.4 pounds. They're the lightest and smallest AEDs on the market, but they have a very high IP rating. They fit in the house very nice and neat, and they do the job. They have visual prompts, as I mentioned. They also have voice prompts, which I mentioned, and they have a great economical pad pack system where the pad and the battery are connected. So all you do is replace the pad and you replace the pad pack as a whole, and you put it back in and you're off and running. So it's and those get replaced every 4 years. Warranties are on this is for 8 years. So you'd have to replace this one time, and you've got a rescue ready AED that is at right there close to being able to save someone's life. And like I said, it's a great AED. The technology is great, but this next one that we've partnered with RALNA is called a Life Pack CR2. This one is like top of the line. It is like cutting edge, the stuff they have that goes with it. It is one of the AEDs that are most popular today. Part of the reason that they're really popular is because we are selling these into schools and public access places where parks, swimming pools, so on, school districts, as I mentioned, baseball fields, football fields, basketball courts, so on and so forth. The good thing about this one is it has this pediatric toggle, which is the very first bullet. It has a pediatric toggle which allows you to deliver a shock to a child without having to switch out pads. So you have adult pads and you have pediatric pads. These pediatric pads are, this pediatric toggle switches, all you do is hit a button and it allows you to deliver a shock to a child. A child meaning under 8 years of age or 55 pounds. Has great CPR coaching. It allows you to do CPR while you're doing compressions, which is a huge benefit because oftentimes when you stop delivering CPR, the recommendation is you do CPR for 2 minutes. Most AEDs say stand back, analyzing, and then I'll say to deliver a shock or not deliver a shock. And with this Life Pack CR2, you're allowed to continue CPR and it'll analyze the heart's rhythm while you're still doing CPR. And if a shock is needed, then it will tell you to step back and be able to deliver that shock that's necessary to get their heart on the correct rhythm. Very high IP rating, which just means it's very resilient to wind and dust both. If this were to be, I guess in your scenario, it's going to be outside, inside, so that might not be as important, but it's a very sturdy, reliable AED. And then also for your pad pack program, one of the things that stand out with this is there is Wi-Fi capability, which is a very cool cutting edge thing that only one other AED has this Wi-Fi capability, which helps it monitor, and it also has the ability to link up in the future. Today it's not happening quite yet, but it has the ability to connect with incoming ambulances or fire departments where it'll share information that's happened with the victim. So both of them are outstanding. They work really great. I have a couple of videos that I wanted to share, and I think we have time for that. Tess, will you let me know if you can see this okay?
Looks awesome. I would just go ahead and make it full screen. Perfect.
Okay. So I will put the volume up on this, and this is a video of the Heart Sign Samaritan, which is the smaller, the 2.4 pound one. So enjoy, and then when this is over, I'll pop on and we'll share the next one as well.
Every year, 7 million people worldwide suffer sudden cardiac arrest. It can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. 84% of sudden cardiac arrest events occur outside of a healthcare setting. Only 5 to 10% of victims currently survive. While some cardiac events are treatable with effective cardiopulmonary resuscitation or CPR alone, Others require a combination of effective CPR and the use of an automated external defibrillator, or AED, to deliver a life-saving shock within the first few minutes of cardiac arrest. In both cases, effective CPR contributes to an increase of survival rates of up to 75%. HeartSign CPR Rate Advisor, featured on certain models of the Samaritan PAD automated external defibrillators, provides real-time visible and audible feedback to the rescuer on the rate of CPR compressions during a sudden cardiac arrest. CPR is crucial to deliver oxygenated blood to the body's vital organs. CPR quality encompasses a variety of CPR parameters. Improvements in any of these parameters contribute to overall improvement in CPR quality. CPR Rate Advisor helps ensure the rescuer performs CPR at an effective rate and at an optimal CPR fraction, in line with the American Heart Association and European Resuscitation Council guidelines. With its revolutionary technology, HeartSign's CPR Rate Advisor uses only the defibrillator electrodes to detect changes in patient impedance rather than accelerometers or pucks, commonly used in other AED solutions that provide some CPR feedback. The changes in impedance are related to the rate of compressions. When a patient collapses and a rescuer performs CPR, the compressions applied by the rescuer cause the patient's chest to change shape. CPR Rate Advisor captures this change in an ICG waveform, which it uses to count the number of compressions a rescuer administers. When the rescuer compresses the patient's chest, the rate is reflected on the ICG waveform. The greater the rate, the greater the number of deflections. CPR Rate Advisor measures the change in impedance and uses this to determine the appropriate feedback to the rescuer, advising them of good speed, or to push faster, or push slower. This real-time feedback is very important, as rescuer fatigue may set in after as little as 1 minute, resulting in slower compression rates. CPR fraction, the percentage of time that CPR is performed, is also an important parameter for CPR compressions. To help optimize CPR fraction, the SAM450P uses the electrode pads to prompt the rescuer to begin CPR and will continue to remind the rescuer to begin CPR when it detects that compressions have stalled. With its real-time visible and audible feedback to a rescuer, HeartSign CPR Rate Advisor helps improve the quality of CPR compressions by improving compliance with CPR rate guidelines and optimizing CPR fraction by continually prompting the user to begin CPR. CPR Rate Advisor is integrated with an industry-leading HeartSign defibrillators, so a shock can be delivered if needed. Effective CPR, provided alone or in conjunction with a life-saving shock, can dramatically increase the chance of survival. As the Samaritan PAD is a defibrillator specifically designed for public access, all HeartSign defibrillators can be used with minimal training in any environment. Integrated CPR Rate Advisor helps improve compliance with CPR rate and CPR fraction guidelines while instilling more confidence in the rescuer, both of which help improve survival rates.
Yes, so as I mentioned, that was the HeartSign, AEDs. I'm going to share with you now the Striker. This is a little bit more advanced. It's been around since about, well, Striker's been around forever, but this specific AED has been around for a couple of years now. But this is one of the top AEDs. It's got some really nice bells and whistles. It's got, as I mentioned, the pediatric toggle. It's got the clear voice technology, really, really good stuff. And this will share some of it right here. Different languages, has bilingual capability. So I'll start this one, and you guys, hopefully you enjoy this one as well.
The Connection established.
Connexion établie.
Połączenie nawiązane.
Conexión establecida.
Connection in progress.
Anslutning påbörjad. Staminen äska. Verbindung im Gange.
Połączenie w toku.
Connexion kurso. Dispositif prêt. Bereit einsatzbereit.
Urządzenie gotowe.
Device ready. Enheten redo.
Ryan, stay with us right now. Yeah, keep off.
Adult mode. Remove all clothing from patient's chest. Stop chest compressions. Everyone clear. Do not touch patient. Delivering shock. Shock delivered. Resume chest compressions. Lean over the patient. Preparing to shock. Targetan defibrillator. AED. Préparation du choc en cours. Beklagtes Schock wird vorbereitet. Nicht festgestellt. Schwabschritte ist Chance. Für die Veränderungslage. Folgelehre. Defibrillator. Shock delivery. Shock abgelöst. Shock delivery. Shock delivery.
Well, Ms. Tess, I'm open for any questions or anything anyone has maybe posted. Uh-oh, you shut that off.
Yes, absolutely. So if anybody has any questions, I've seen a couple come in we can get started with, but go ahead and put them in the question box and I'll read them off to Frank here. So a couple of them that have come in already, Frank, one of them is, are AEDs all battery powered or do any of them need to be plugged into a wall?
No, they're almost all of them are lithium batteries. There's one AED, not the ones that we're partnering with you, but the ones that we're partnering with are lithium and they do not need to be charged. The batteries will need to be replaced about every 4 years, as I'd mentioned on the slides. And when the AED has a green light that will blink, and when it needs to be replaced, it'll blink red or and chirp at the same time.
Oh, got it. That's great. So it notifies you. Another question was, what is the battery life? So you said about 4 years is kind of
correct.
Very good. Next question is there any maintenance required, like replacing the pads or needing special batteries, depending on the AED you have?
The only special battery would be if you were going to take the AED on a flight, on an airplane. That'd be the only way. But outside of that, the pads that come with it, when you buy the AED, the pads that it comes with is you're set, you're good to go.
Awesome. Couple questions that just came in is, what is the cost of the AED and what is the cost for the replacement battery?
So that is a great question. I meant to have that on the slide and I spaced it, but I'm pulling it up. And can we post this again, or do you have it by chance, Tess?
You know what, I do, and I can't physically get it in here, but I can send it in an email to everybody who is viewing that PDF. But for now, I can just post the numbers in the chat box if that makes it easy for everyone.
And I think I can pull it up while we're chatting here, so I'll get that at the same time while I'm answering these questions.
We'll keep going. The next one is, should I purchase a wall cabinet or a wall bracket for my AED?
Great question, whoever asked that. you kind of, it's a good idea too, because oftentimes you'll see people, they'll get AEDs and they'll put them in their desk or they'll put them in a cabinet and they'll want them out of the way. The bad thing when that happens is when someone goes down, no one knows where it is. They don't know where to find that AED. So the reason you want a wall cabinet or the bracket is so that it'll hang visibly. And then with this also, you'll have, I would recommend also having a 3D sign that we also send out. There's a 3D sign that goes at the top and will show, you put it on the wall and it'll say AED here, you put it like on a corner, wherever the case may be, and you can see that sign that's up above, and then it's accessible at that point.
Got it.
You don't have to. The answer to the question is you don't have to, but we strongly recommend it because you want to know people. You want people to know exactly where those AEDs are. You don't want it to be, tucked away in a desk or in a cabinet. And if someone has sudden cardiac arrest, they're not sure where to go. They're just, oh, okay, well, call 911 and let's look for the AED.
Right, absolutely. So in the instance of maybe a memory care home or a care home that has maybe more severe dementia patients in there, would there be any danger to having an AED present for them, or is it a little bit more complex to actually get it going? So basically, is it okay if it's kind of out on the wall, or would it be better or recommended to have it in a spot that's a little bit harder for the residents to get to?
I guess in my mind, this arena is new to us. I know we've sold into some other care home facilities, but in this scenario where you guys are just like so big and so vast nationwide, I would say you'd leave it up to the individual caretakers and or the owners, because ideally, like I said, you want those things there. You want them readily available. So that's
right.
That's a tough call. That's a very tough call. Our recommendation is have them available. If you have, a client that is, could get into it or whatever the case is, I don't know. I really don't. I would say most of the time you want those out in the open. That's the whole purpose of it,
Right. And I would assume having a cabinet maybe that, locked or had an easy access key for the caregivers would solve that problem.
Absolutely. And the cabinets will do that as well.
Wonderful. Another question is, do you have a Maryland local office? So I guess, do you have any like brick and mortar offices, or do you guys work with people, virtually?
So we're a national vendor. We sell all 50 states and into Puerto Rico as well. But we do not have any brick and mortar. We have our warehouse where we store things, which is kind of a little bit of a sidebar, which has worked out well during the supply chain issues that have hit many industries. We've been able to, I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to use the word lucky, because we planned for this shortage. So we bought AEDs up front so that when people needed these life-saving devices, we weren't at the mercy of the manufacturers. But so we do have warehouse, we do have an office, but for the most part, we work remote.
Got it. Great to know. Another question that just came in is there any maintenance or checkup required similar to a fire extinguisher? So does someone need to come in and like make sure it's working okay every now and then, or how does that look like?
No, so great question. Whoever asked that knows what they're referencing. So there's a monthly checkup that you do, and the monthly checkup is in the environment that you guys are in. It sounds like it'd be pretty. You have to go by and see it, make sure the light's blinking. The light will tell you if there's any malfunctions at all. If the batteries are getting older, if the batteries are not working, if the pads are not working, if the pads are getting older. The big thing you want to make sure of is that not in your setting, but like say in a school setting, that someone didn't come by and grab that, grab the AED and take off with it. But there is a monthly maintenance check. And one of the things that you might have saw where on the LifePak CR2 where it had the Wi-Fi thing shooting out, that AED, there's a thing you can buy where we call it, it's AED program management. We call it a CRM, and what we actually call it ourselves at AED One Stop Shop. And what that CRM is for is that it reminds you via your phone, your laptop, or a tablet. It'll remind you when those checkups need to happen. And when you check it, you can put it into that app, and it'll timestamp that you checked it. And what that does is it mitigates any legal risk. It'll show that you did your part to make sure that AED was life-saving ready. And so CRM stands for it's compliant, it's rescue ready, and it's maintained, is why we call it a CRM.
Fantastic. Well, it looks like that's all the questions we have for now. If anybody wants to add anything, go for it. I did find that PDF flyer, Frank. Do you want me to go ahead and put those prices in the chat box for everyone?
Yes, that would be great. Yes, please do.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and do that. Is there anything else you want to add for us, Frank, in addition to the great presentation you've already given?
I would just say that please consider, I know that it's, I mean, you guys are, top notch, haven't talked to the RALNA folks. Please consider having them in your environment, and also please share it with your coworkers, your friends and your families, your coaches. These really need to be everywhere that a fire extinguisher is needed. And like I said, you can truly, honestly save someone's life. Every day, 1,000 people die every single day, and that number could be reduced by 80% if we had AEDs everywhere. If businesses, offices, county buildings, municipal buildings, facilities, it's just and to me, it's purely a matter of knowledge. Oftentimes, people will say it comes down to a cost thing, but what's the cost of approximately $1,000 to $2,000 to saving someone's life? And that life you're saving is a coworker, a friend, your dearest family member, a child, a husband. It hits everybody at any age. So I would just say, please, consider getting AEDs into your environments. And my information is available. I think Tess said it's in the chat room. Anything you need from information, videos, pricing, anything that you need to make you feel more comfortable, please feel free to contact me at any time.
Yep, I added the website for AED One Stop Shop, Frank's email, and I also added his phone number. So if anybody wants to contact him, absolutely do that to proceed with either one of these awesome options. The prices are now in the chat box. So thank you so much, Frank. This was such a great presentation, such valuable information. We are grateful to have partnered with you, and I'm sure some of these folks will be reaching out to you in the future to protect their residents with an AED.
Thank you so much, Tess. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking time out of your afternoon/evening to join in. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me directly.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a great night. Thank you again, Tess.